Chapter 30. Politics and Promotions. I shall allow no man to belittle my soul by making me hate him. Booker T. Washington. He got drafted? Are you kidding? Him? Yup. Apparently when your dad played in the big leagues, 230 is plenty good enough. It's garbage is what it is. Can't argue with you there. It was summer ball, early June, and I was in the dugout with a few teammates. I had just completed my junior year in college, and we were sitting around waiting for pregame to start. Our head coach had a strict policy on lateness, so all of us erred well on the side of being early. It was the second day of the MLB draft, and we were going through the list of our peers who were selected, some of whom we had played against that very week in our league. One of them stuck out. Now, this player was an okay college player, but not exceptional by any stretch. He was mediocre, even in our mid-tier summer league. The other players who were called in the draft, when they walked up to the plate, we had to bear down, be careful, and pitch our best. This guy, he was just another warm body in the batter's box. So why was he now turning pro, while the rest of us were stuck heading back to college for another year, dreams unfulfilled? Well, his father. His pops played in the major leagues for basically just one team over a long career. When draft day rolled around, sure enough, his dad's team selected him. Checking in years later, his stats showed that he was well below average every year of his minor league career. Nonetheless, he still got promoted each season until finally being released a handful of years later. Not only did he get drafted while we did not, but he got promoted above minor league teammates who performed better than him. Humans are programmed to seek out fairness. When someone gives you a gift, lets you go first, or does something nice for you, what immediately registers in your brain? You want to reciprocate, right? Do something similar for them to return the favor. This, called the principle of reciprocity, is very powerful in our species, even amongst little kids who have never been taught otherwise. Sit 3 kids down at a table and pass out cookies. Give 2 to the first kid, 2 to the second, and 4 cookies to the third. Then, just sit back and watch. There will be outrage. The National Guard may have to be called. We want to get what we deserve, and we don't like it when others are not treated fairly, or when a system seems rigged. He didn't deserve that is incredibly frustrating. No matter the scenario, the story is always the same. Perhaps it's who he knows, what his last name is, or how much money his parents donated to the program. He gets 4 cookies, maybe 8. Unfortunately, the political aspect of making a team, getting promoted, or getting playing time is something that will always exist. It's partly because of the principle of reciprocity and the difficulty we have in overriding it. It's polite and thoughtful to return a favor or pay it forward to someone else. In most instances, the principle works to share wealth and kindness. However, when a wealthy family, whose son is not very good at baseball, donates a new scoreboard to the high school, the need to reciprocate felt by the coach and athletic director is so powerful that they choose not only to not cut the kid, but to start him in the outfield over you. It happens. That scoreboard essentially bought their son a spot in the starting lineup. It's not right, and many people manipulate others using gifts. It happens in politics, business, relationships, sports, everywhere. It's not just gifts and reciprocity either. It's also just who a person knows, their circumstances, their pedigree, and more. The term politics encompasses any of those reasons by which favorable treatment is given to some but not others. But how do you deal with it? How do you not let it burn you up inside? Should you flip the dinner table so that no one gets any cookies? First, I think it's important to observe the way you feel about being screwed over by politics. It sucks. It can go beyond frustrating to become downright maddening. You, a third baseman, have a great week at the plate, crushing the ball, and walk into the dugout expecting to see your name written into the number 3 spot in the lineup. Instead, your whole body droops when the coach's kid, also a third baseman, is penciled in. Not one reasonable person attached to the team would agree that he should be starting. You're objectively better and have been hot at the plate. But yet, there it is. You're benched because his dad is the coach. Steam pours out of your ears as your teammates' cleats clack on the concrete dugout floor, getting ready for pregame. You're furious and can barely focus on tying your shoes. We're all human, and you're going to be angry. Your gut reactions in situations like these are probably not wrong or immature. They're human. Again, the desire for fairness is hardwired in us. But you do have to refocus. Don't remove yourself mentally and have an unproductive pregame. You have to get your work in and be ready to play if you're called upon later. You might want to spend the rest of the day complaining and tearing down your teammate to anyone who will listen, but that's not right either. Second, do you wish you were the coach's kid, reaping the benefit of undeserved playing time? The coach's kid is the subject of a lot of angry conversations between players and parents. Imagine being that 15-year-old who gets talked about like a piece of trash by parents at the bar following a weekend tournament game. Do parents talk smack about you when you pack your bat bag and go home for the night? Nope. But the coach's kid is in the spotlight, even though he didn't ask for it. He has hopes and dreams of being the starting shortstop just like you do, but his dad is the one pulling the strings. Sure, little Johnny might beg his father for more innings at a certain position, but ultimately, it's the coach's fault for doling out playing time in an unfair manner. 7 cookies for his son, 3 cookies for everyone else. When someone else gets what we should rightfully have, I think it's important to consider that person's whole scope of existence. Do you wish you had their life, or just that one aspect of it? I think you need to take the whole hog, not just a few select pork chops. So would you rather be the coach's kid, bathing yourself in meritless playing time? Or would you prefer getting only what you earn, with the occasional dose of what you don't? I promise you, at the end, when you have to hang up your cleats, you'll be thankful that your road wasn't a smooth one. You won't look back thinking, man, if only I got those extra few innings that I deserved because the coach's kid started over me. It just won't matter. You might have some hard feelings here and there, sure. But overall, a few incidences of politics is unlikely to derail your career. These moments simply represent obstacles that you, if you're tough and resolute, will be able to overcome. But if there's a major pattern of years and years of being sat for someone else, then it's probably you who's the problem. Maybe you're not as good as you think you are, and maybe your buddies only agree with you when you complain because you're their friend. Politics almost never affect the best, most reliable players on the field. It affects those who are on the borderline, who could play or sit, and no one would think too much about either decision. Remember, if you don't like being the guy who gets screwed by politics, well, then play so much better than the next guy that it's not even close. Don't like it? Play better. Applies in all situations. Think about it. Below the high school level, most players play multiple positions. So you'd have to be below multiple players to sit the bench at all, right? Just because the coach's kid plays shortstop, couldn't you still play third, second, left, right, or center field? Sure you could. Maybe you're too one-dimensional, or aren't as high up on the depth chart as you think. Future-proof yourself by being well-rounded and able to play multiple positions at a high level. If you're a position player, hit. If you crush the ball, they'll find a place for you. If you're a pitcher, be the reliable guy that they can count on to pound the strike zone and compete your butt off. It's the borderline players who will fall victim to politics the most. So, don't be borderline. Work harder. Find a new way to improve. If you're on the chopping block, don't be surprised when you get chopped. If you're one of the best 5 players on the team, chances are you won't sit the bench hardly at all, no matter how egregiously the coaching staff wants to play the politics game. Remember when Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes who ever lived, wanted to play baseball? The Chicago White Sox made room for him on their Double-A Birmingham Barons team. This meant that someone had to go home so that Jordan had a locker. But was that man one of the star players for the Birmingham Barons? Nope. He was on the chopping block, and it just so happened that Michael Jordan brought down the cleaver. It wasn't fair to that player, whoever he was, but then again, baseball has never been fair. Control your own destiny as best you can by outworking everyone else so you're not the one who gets chopped. Don't like it? Don't be borderline. We all get screwed over sometimes. But when looking back down the mountain one day, I think you'll see that most of your climb was completed on merit. And that's how you should want it to be. I just think you need to remember that being the coach's kid isn't what you want, even if sometimes you're envious of opportunities handed to him. Make the best of what you have, of the things you actually can control. In most of your life, your hard work and perseverance will be both noticed and properly rewarded. But in irregular intervals, you won't get what you deserve, you'll get a little bit screwed, and you'll be pissed off about it. If you accept responsibility for your own shortcomings and the randomness of life, however, you'll shrug it off, remind yourself that life's not always fair, and keep going. Don't let other people, try as they might, bring you down.